Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. Gonna get started in a minute. As you guys are joining, you can begin to just post on the chat. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are your kids? And all of that. We're just gonna allow a few minutes for everyone to join and then we'll start. If you're just joining, we're gonna start in a few minutes. We're giving some people some time to join in. Just interact with each other through the chat. Let us know about you, about your kids. How many do you have? How old are they? You never know. You might meet somebody here today. We'll start in a few minutes. Welcome, everybody. All right. Okay. All righty. We're gonna allow 2 more minutes and then we're gonna get started. Alrighty, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. You are here live for the parenting webinar, and we're going to get started. And as people join in, I'll just provide more information on what is needed to know. But before we get started, I wanted to go over a few rules for our time today. So this webinar is about an hour where I'm going to run through the material because I want to make sure that you guys have enough information and get a lot of value, a lot of content today, so that you can be able to be better parents at the end. And then, so we're going to keep the questions. So if you have questions as I'm talking, or if something comes to your mind, just write it down somewhere, or allow yourself to just jot it down, and so that you can remember it. You can use the chat to communicate in the meantime, to communicate with one another, or if something resonates with you, just write it down so that everybody can be engaged and involved with one another. And at the end, I will have a set time for us to pretty much do the questions and any other things that you guys have. So I do ask that you post your questions in the chat that is um, on my page, because I will not be looking on YouTube for questions and stuff. So if you have any questions or things that you want to post them in the chat that is on the page based on the link that you received. So today we're going, there was so many things that I could talk about. And when I think of parenting, it's a very broad topic, but I chose the most, I think what was the most important, to focus on. And so today I'm going to give you guys a few tips, a few things on how to parent through this pandemic, because I know that it is a very real thing that all of us are dealing with. So we're going to talk for a few minutes about that. And then I'm going to mostly focus my time on basically parenting from an attachment based type of parenting. And I will explain what that is if you don't know what that is, and allow you guys um, to be able to get the information on what that is, and tools also on how to practice that. And I think it's also important to understand where your child is, as far as developmentally. So we're going to talk about how to identify where your child is and how you can be able to help them in that way. Okay. So a little bit about me. I am, if you have not met me, if you have not followed my Instagram, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I have been doing therapy for a little bit over 5 years. Over for the first 2 years, I worked with kids, but now I predominantly work with adults. I am from Haiti. I So if you hear my accent, just bear with me for a moment. So growing up in Haiti, parenting was pretty much, I feed you and I give you a roof over your head, so that means you should feel loved and you should feel like your parents are supporting you. But going through school, I have been able to learn new ways and different techniques and different ways to parent, which have been extremely helpful. And I think a lot of people, especially people of Caribbean descent, they just repeat patterns, but we sometimes don't know how to practice new ways of parenting. And I was actually proud because recently I was reading something, and it seems like there's a lot of people from this generation that are trying to adapt new parenting styles. But most of the time, people from my generation and older, they have a specific way to parent. So I think it's important, and part of my job is to help people know what those are, so that we can be able to better take care of the kids. I am a mom of two, and I am an auntie to many. So I will be using those experiences as well as I run through this webinar. So parenting in 2022 is absolutely more difficult than, I guess, any other time, because when we think about this pandemic that is happening right now, it is extremely difficult for us as parents to take care of our kids and take care of ourselves at the same time, because there's been a lot of things that have been thrown at us at the same time. A lot of unknown, a lot of things that we may not have control over, that we have to not only manage for ourselves, but we have to also manage it for the kids and allow them to feel safe and secure through that. So and I believe that transforming the way that we parent our kids can allow them to become healthier adults. So that's our goal for today, so that you can be able to transform the way that you parent your kids, and continue doing the great things that you're doing, but also adding on some new things, and so that you can be able to impact the way that you parent your children, and which in turns will impact the type of adults that they're gonna become. Okay. Um, So, as parents in 2022, we are forced to deal with our own mental and emotional issues. And especially right now in the winter time, mental health for a lot of people decrease. Like, it becomes worse for a lot of people. That's around the time where you see a lot of people deal with seasonal affective disorder, which is basically the blues in the winter time when you feel sad. It's a type of mood disorder that people deal with. So in the middle of that, dealing with that, if you deal with it, and in the middle of a pandemic, so it can feel overwhelming for parents overall to deal with their own issues. So we are faced with our own issues. Our level of stress is increasing. There's a lack of work-life balance because there's a lot of fires that we have to put out. One week the kids are in school, one week they're out, one week there's been a case and they have to shut down the classes, and it's like we have to figure out childcare and so many things to figure out. So which increases our stress level, and causes us to then feel all of the weight of that. And not only that, but we have to manage ourselves and also manage the emotions of our kids. And some parents don't have the adequate help that they need to be able to deal with all of that, which means that they're feeling the impact even heavier than everybody else. And our kids, they're dealing with disruption in their schedules. Kids thrive, especially younger ones, they thrive on schedule and consistency and a routine. So that has been disrupted over the past couple of years and is still continuing to be disrupted. So they can't pretty much keep a specific routine or a specific schedule, because so many things are changing around them, not only in the external world, but also in the way that we are adjusting things at home. And they've done some research recently, which is also part of why I have pushed so much to have this webinar, because it's research is showing that mental health in kids has been decreasing a lot. Their mental health state is decreasing, and they're really not doing well adjusting and adapting to everything that's happening. So things like anxiety, depression, and even suicide rates in kids from 12 and up has increased. So our kids, although they may not have the language to ask for help, or although they may ask for help, they may not, but those that don't have the language to ask for help, all of them are crying out for help right now, because they are dealing with emotions and certain things that they don't have capacity or the vocabulary or the ability to pretty much deal with all of that. So that is causing increased stress in them, especially with the pandemic. Increased stress, because as we become anxious, if we are anxious as parents around this time, and I'm sure that there are times that we do feel the stress and that it can be felt through us, then the kids are also absorbing all of that stress and absorbing all of that, which is impacting their health. So it's extremely important that we recognize that even though they seem okay, they seem like, oh, they're just their happy selves, that we take the time out to be able to just make the time to take care of them in a way that we haven't been doing before, or to give them the extra support or the extra help that they need in this time. And here are some signs, some things that you can notice in your children that can give you an indication that they're dealing with something, either emotionally or signs of mental illness. So for preschoolers, if they start sucking their thumbs, if you feel like they're overall regressing from everything, like if they were potty trained and you see that they're now having more accidents, then that is something to pay attention to, and to note that, okay, they might be struggling with something internally that is coming out in those other ways. In elementary school kids and up, in middle school, you can notice that they begin to have nightmares, they begin to avoid certain things, they can't concentrate, they withdraw from certain activities, they have no motivation to do certain things, or they are irritable, or they begin to get in trouble in school. Then that's your indication, okay, my child may have something that's going on with them. I need to pay attention and make sure that they are okay. And then in adolescence, we can notice sleeping and eating disturbances, also agitations. If you notice that they are engaging in more delinquent behaviors or things that feel a little bit dangerous for them, or things that they didn't used to do, you're noticing that they're doing them, that could be your indication that they are dealing with something mentally that they might need help with. And some solutions to help with the pandemic time, you can, first of all, you cannot take care of anybody until you take care of yourself. And I cannot stress that enough. When I speak to my clients that have kids, it's extremely important that you take care of yourself, because the way that you feel on the inside is absolutely going to reflect on how your children feel. So if you're not taking time to take care of yourself, then you may notice that you're more irritable, that you have less patience, that you're not able to deal with, I guess, the extra stressors that parenting just gift us with. Just make sure that you're taking time to take care of yourself. Ask family members for help, get tested, do it as safely as possible, but ask family members for help to watch the kids, or hire somebody to watch the kids as long as you can do it safely, so that you can have that time for yourself, and if you are married, that you have that time for yourself and your spouse as well. The next thing is to offer lots of love and affection to the kids. And you can never show too much love and affection to your kids. So make sure that you are hugging them, you are offering as much of it, and speak their love language. Kids have love languages too, and you can be able to figure those out if you just pay attention to them and see. Or you can ask them, what makes you feel loved? If you have no idea what makes them feel loved, what tells you that mommy and daddy love you? Or what tells you that I care about you and that I love you? It may be words of affirmation. It can be, oh, when you do this thing for me. It can be when you buy me things, when you give me gifts. It can be when you say nice things to me, and you are happy when I do something good. Whatever it is, just make sure that you're speaking their language as you show love and affection to them. With younger kids, I would say establish a routine as much as you can. Um, and it may get disrupted, and I think making that, like putting that on the table, okay, what we're doing, what we have planned, or those things can get disrupted, or but I'm going to make sure that we're as consistent as we can be. Schedule creative and fun time together with them. Right now, kids are not getting enough social stimulations. The other day, my daughter saw her friend on the street, and they ran to each other, and they stopped like maybe 1 foot away, and they put their arms down and air hugged each other. So they're not getting enough social stimulations. They're not getting enough one-on-one time with other people. So make sure that you are creating that time for them at home. And if you're not doing it at home, make sure that they have, as long as you can do it safely, they have a safe environment where they can socially interact with kids their age. And that's extremely important, because that's good for their development. And create a space to check in with them every single day. um, I drive my kids to school, and it's about like a 5 to 10 minute drive, a 5 minute drive. And during that time, we have a routine where we say our morning prayers, and then they go over their affirmations for the day. I am brave, I am smart, I am patient, I will have a good day. And every single day we do the exact same thing, which is creating a type of routine for them, that they know on the way to school that this is what we do. And that allows them to, and they ask for it too, when it doesn't when I forget, or when it doesn't happen, because they love the routine. And that is also affirming them every single day and reminding them of who they are, so that other people don't tell them who they are at school. And next thing that you can do is to just be careful how you talk. And right now, I know that sometimes we can be venting on the phone, or we can be talking about certain things that seem very normal to us. But no matter what age your child is, they're always listening to your conversations. And sometimes it's not the things that we say to them that impacts them the most, is the thing that they see from us, and the things that they hear from us. So be very careful how you talk to other people about the things that are going on, about how you feel about this pandemic, about how all of the stressors of this life are impacting you, because they're actually listening to you. Breathing exercises are very helpful for kids. And I know that most of the time we think, okay, we adults, we learn to breathe, we regulate ourselves, but practicing breathing with them, having them just sit down, an exercise that you can do with them. And depending on the age, right, it might feel weird for older kids, but depending on the age, you can have them lay down and just tense up different parts of their bodies. And then over time, you have them just release different muscles, like release the hands, release I guess your head, and they will feel more relaxed. Especially kids that you're noticing anxiety in them, you can just have them slow down, take a few deep breaths, and just pretty much calm themselves down, so that they can be able to regulate themselves. And time is running, so I'm going to run through these more quickly. Monitor their screen content, because the same way that you the input that you're giving to them by not looking at the way that you talk, that is the same way that the screen could be sending messages to them that are not good. Certain apps, if you know that your kid is very anxious, or dealing with some mental issues right now, or having difficulties right now, certain things they shouldn't be constantly exposing themselves to, because that does impact them. And give them chores allow kids to feel like they have a place in the world, and that the things that they're doing are important and are contributing to the family. So definitely make sure that they have chores. So I'm going to run through this quickly, but if you want to, you can take a screenshot of the next slide, so that you can be able to just look over it on your own time, and be able to really read everything, because I'm not going to be able to go through all of that information and get to attachment at the same time. So Erickson, which is a psychologist, came up with different stages of life, which pretty much informs us of where the child is, how they're thinking, and what the basic conflict portion talks about, like what it is that they're gonna develop during that stage. So from 0 to 18 months, they're asking themselves, is my world safe? And if they feel safety in the world, then that allows them to develop trust in themselves, in the world. If they don't feel safe, then they develop mistrust. And from 2 to 3, the question that they ask themselves is, can I do things by myself, or do I need to rely on others? You see around that stage that kids become they begin to do certain things by themselves. And I would say encourage them to do those things by themselves, like things that are age appropriate. right? You can't expect a 2-year-old to clean their room and for it to be squeaky clean. So make sure that you, whatever that you're expecting them to do, that it is age appropriate. And as they complete those tasks, like putting their shoes on by themselves, or for it to get home on time, these are expectations. As they do those things, then they develop autonomy, or if they don't, they develop shame or doubt. And the next stage is 3 to 5. They ask themselves, am I good or am I bad? If they are able to successfully go through this stage, then they develop initiative. If not, they get a lot of guilt. And all of these are like foundation blocks that are building who the child is. So we really have to pay attention to those, because they're going to determine how the child feel about themselves, and also interact with the world. 6 to 11, how can I be good? They focus on school and success. And if they're able to do so successfully, they develop industry. If not, inferiority. In adolescence, they ask themselves, who am I and where am I going? That's where they begin to develop their identity. And if they are supported and they have everything that they need, they develop identity. If not, then they develop role confusion. And then in young adulthood, which is from 19 to 40, they began to focus on intimate relationships and loving relationships with other people. If they succeed, then they have strong relationships. And if they don't, then they begin to isolate themselves. And there are more stages, but because this is a parenting course, you can research Erickson's stages. It goes until the end of life, but I didn't need to focus on those for this specific thing. So I want you guys to keep the stages in mind as we're talking about attachment, because those are like I said, foundation blocks and building blocks. And attachment is predominantly, it happens at the beginning, like first year of life, but it's also something that continues to happen throughout life, right? You could be a child and you had a very good or safe or secure attachment to your caregiver, and then later on you don't do so well in your romantic relationships or friendships, and then that causes you to begin to feel very differently, or begin to have a different attachment type. So it's something that's very important from 0 to 18 months, but something that continues to happen throughout life. And attachment is basically an emotional bond that you have with another person. It's how you relate to other people. It's how you just see yourself. It's a system that explains the principles, the rules, and the emotions of relationships, how they work, how they don't, how we feel when we're with our loved ones. And that's what attachment means, or what attachment is. And every single person that is on the earth need to feel connected and cared for by somebody, no matter, like, whether you say, I have met those people who say, I don't need anybody, I'm all good by myself. Nobody is all good by themselves. And later on you'll see what that is. But we all need people, we all need connection, we all need to feel like we are connected to other people. So our needs are for connection, for regard, for comfort, and for security. And as a young child, when you're little, that connection and that regard, that comfort comes from whoever your caretaker is. Here, we're not only talking about moms, we're talking about moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, and whoever it is that you're feeling that sense, that deep sense of connection with. As a baby, it's the mom, but later on it might change to other parental figures. But we all need that connection regard comfort and security from the people in our lives. And even in romantic relationships later, as kids grow up, they need connection, regard, comfort and security in those relationships for them to feel safe. And our caretaker, or the people that we are attached to, need to be available and accessible to support and encourage us, and come to our aid. They need to be responsive. They need to be able to recognize our strengths, our fears, our anxieties in very supportive ways. And they need to be very engaged. Engaged means interested and delight in what we do and in us, right? We don't want to be in any relationship where we feel like, oh, this person's only here because they need me for this. We don't want to feel disposable. We don't want to feel like somebody just need us for what we can provide for them. But we want to know that people really delight in us, and kids need to know that we delight in them. They need to know that there is nothing that they can do, and that's part of that security and that comfort, right? There is nothing that they can do that will make us stop loving them, because most of the time they attach what they do to how we feel about them. When we talk about, their behaviors and the things that we do, we need to make sure that they know, okay, so, oh, you're mad at what I did, but you don't stop loving me because I did this very bad thing. So kids really need the caretakers to be available, responsive, to recognize their strengths and fears and anxieties, and to be very engaged and to delight in them. And I'm gonna go over this a little bit more later on as I go deeper into the attachment. And this is like just an image that can help you see what secure attachment looks like. So there are secure and insecure attachment. So a secure attachment is, so the hands that you see on the screen, that's the parent's hand, right? That's you as a parent, that's your hand, that's your role, and providing that safe haven and that secure base for your children. And the way that it works, so we're going to go this way. The way that it works is that they know what they need from you, and they need to feel safe enough to leave your side and to go explore their environment. And here we're starting from little babies, but I want you to expand your mind and think of this for any type of kid, right? And exploring may not be this, it will not look the same for a toddler as it is for a teenager, but there needs to be that sense of safety there, that, oh, your hands are right there, and I can always come back to you if I need help with something. I can always go back to you if I encounter an obstacle that I can't face by myself, but I need to come back. I know that there is nothing that I can do that will make you reject me or not accept me openly. So the kids feel secure in you, so they go and explore their environment. And what you do as a parent is that you support that exploration. It's almost like you go to the park with your kid. You're right there. You can see them. You're present. You're watching their every move, but they leave you, they go run and they go play, they go interact with other kids, but from time to time they come back to you when they need something. So at any stage of parenting, we need to be that safe haven, that secure base for our kids, so that when they go and experience life, or they go and explore new environment for younger kids, or they go do something for the first time, they know that they can count on you to watch over them, to delight in them, to help them, and to enjoy whatever it is that they're doing with them. And that at the end of the day, they can always come back to you. So they counting on you to protect them, to comfort them, to delight in them, and to organize their feelings if, for example, the experience wasn't positive. If it was positive, you watch over them, you delight in them. If it was not positive, you protect them, you comfort them, you delight in them, and you help younger kids organize their feelings. And that's our role as parents, and that's extremely important. And 4 stages of attachment. we're gonna just go a little bit deeper into them so that you guys, I'm gonna break them down for you so that you can not only identify what your attachment style is, and but also be able to identify what type of attachment style is developing in your kids or is already in your kids. And those things you can change them, that you can heal from them, like you can fix them. It's not like, oh yes, I'm insecurely attached and I'm doomed. That's it. No. If you're insecurely attached, you can always do some work. A lot of my work right now in therapy with different people is to fix attachment injuries, because there's different things that happened when they were younger that pretty much are still causing them to react in with fear in relationships. So a lot of my work now is to fix attachment injuries. So there's definitely hope for you or for your child to turn things around. So there's secure attachment, which is the only really positive one. And then the last three are insecure attachments, which are dismissive, preoccupied, and disorganized attachments. And those attachment styles, they are, I think the two types of questions that kind of like are fueling them are first about self. We ask ourselves, am I worthy to be loved? And even a little kid asks themselves, am I worthy of being loved? And when they cry, and when a baby cries and they ask, which is pretty much them telling you, I need help, when they cry, and based on how you respond to them is pretty much answering those questions for them about themselves. Am I worthy of being loved? Am I competent to get the love that I need? So can I do what it takes to get the love that I need? And then about other people, are others reliable and trustworthy? Can I trust my mom to respond to me if I have a boo-boo and I need help? Can I trust my mom to listen to me if something happened to me at school and I need to talk about it? Can I trust my dad to be there for me after I've made a mistake and I don't know what to do with it? Can I trust the people around me, the people who care about me, to be there for me and to be accessible, not only accessible, but willing to respond to me when I need them to be? So these are the questions that, as we grow from, from infancy to adolescence and even adulthood, we ask ourselves these questions. Am I worthy of being loved? Am I competent to get the love that I need? And then the questions about other people. And that's an overall like idea of what secure, avoidant, ambivalent, and disorganized attachment is. Basically, for a secure attachment, the parent, I'm going to say caregiver, because it's not just mom that provide attachment. The caregiver basically thinks that he or she will be able to cover the needs of the child, and in turn is very direct, sensitive. By the way, feel free to take pictures of those if you want to keep them for yourself for later. They're very direct, they're very sensitive, they're very consistent and supportive, and in turn the child feels safe and confident enough to explore around them. They start having faith in their abilities, so they begin to believe in themselves. They learn to be resilient and they learn to be independent because they feel like, oh, I can take this risk and explore and do this thing that may feel scary, but at the end of the day, I know that my caregiver is always there for me to go and ask for help. Or you remember the hands from the image, always there to catch me if I need help, or to comfort me if I'm not doing too good. The avoidant For the avoidant parent or child, um, the caretaker subconsciously feels that he or she does not provide for her child. So it's not something that is conscious. It's just a way that you feel about your parenting. So in turn, you become very distant, inactive, dismissive, critical, irritable, or eager to punish your children. And in turn, that makes them feel rejected, and they suffer from emotional isolation, and they feel stressed and scared. The next one is ambivalent. The parent believe that he or she can't provide for her child's needs, so they are very inconsistent and often indifferent or often sensitive, very sensitive about their kids. So in turn, the kids feel stressed and insecure. They feel angry. So there's a lot of emotion that is present in ambivalent attachment. So that's the child's attachment, pretty much. And they experience a lot of emotional abandonment, and they can't control their impulsivity. So they are very emotionally reactive, those kids that have the type of parents that have ambivalent attachments. And then for the disorganized is basically it's not, there's no consistency. One moment the parent is very responsive and very loving, and the next moment the parent is very reactive and angry, and showing like whatever the opposite of the loving situation that the child had going on. So the child doesn't really know what to expect. So that parent is very confused and cannot draw a strategy to cover her child's needs. Then he or she exaggerates, is very unpredictable, inspires fears, and usually kids become disorganized, like they develop disorganized attachments uh, um, as uh, as they, if they have parents who are have a drug problem, or a mental disorder, or like any substance, any parents that abuse the substance, they can't really be consistent with their kids. And I'm not saying that this is the only place that we can see this, but it's most of the time that's the type of that's the type of kids that we see the most disorganized attachment from. The kids feel very scared and sad. They approach strangers trying to find safety, and they can actually, those kids, they can develop a lot of attachment disorders. Like there are different attachment disorders. They can, if it gets to the extreme, kids either detach completely from their caretakers, or they will overly attach to strangers and people that they're not supposed to be that comfortable with. So if you see a child just meet someone and they're already sitting on their laps and they're very comfortable, that's something, that's like a something to keep in mind and to watch out for, because that's an indication that they may have an attachment disorder. Alrighty. So I'm just gonna run through these. I have 15 minutes left, a little over. Just gonna run through these, and you can take screenshots, like I said. So dismissive. Let me just see. Okay. Dismissive attachment, I want you to think about a wall of silence. So they're dealing with things, but they're not feeling them. They're very independent. They rely on themselves. And as I'm reading these, and as I'm going through this, I want you to identify your attachment style and share it in the chat. What is your attachment style, or even identify what's your child's attachment style, if you can pick that up as I'm going through these. So they're very dismissive or avoidant people are very independent and self-reliant. When you see these people, they're very well put together. You would think that they're very confident in themselves, but all of that is being driven, it's being fed by fear, because it's not a true sense of confidence. Is everything that they're doing to protect themselves from getting hurt. So they're very low maintenance. They take care of themselves. They're productive. They're creative when they have the space to do that, and they're very like conflict avoidant, because, like I said, the attachment is based on on fear, and because their relationships are based on fear, then they don't want to do anything that's gonna disrupt the peace, or that's gonna cause other people to feel, to not like them anymore, or not to feel good about them anymore. And these people, they don't really deal with their feelings, but they just deal with everything that's going on around them. They're very, like, they focus, I guess, cognitively, instead of acknowledging their feeling. Because if they do feel, then they will open up a door that all of those negative feelings that they've been stuffing will just pop up, and they're not going to be able to just tolerate that. So they keep the feelings closed, and they avoid conflict so that they don't have to deal with that. So if you have a kid that is like that, they are very positive about themselves, but they're very negative about other people because they don't trust other people to take care of them. um, and that's most likely because when they were younger, their parents weren't pretty much as responsive or as comforting and loving towards them. Then they learn to take care of their own self, and they don't open that door for other people to come in and take care of them. So you can, if you have a child that is like that, you can increase their capacity to connect and relate with other people by just making what you notice plain, just bringing those things up. I noticed that you haven't really allowed yourself to, address that conflict that you had about with your friend. What is that about? How can I help you? And these are ways that you can help them just become more aware of their patterns, so that they can be able to deal. And of course, like with any attachment injury, sometimes these things are so deep. Like most of the time, I'm like going back to the past with my clients, and we're looking at the part of themselves that was hurt, or that was not taken care of, and we're going back and we're taking care of those parts. So it's extremely important that we take the time to just do what it takes, right? Do what it takes with our kids. And if it's beyond us, know when to refer them out for help as well. So before I move on, so think of avoid it as a wall of silence. They stuff everything in. Everybody's that wall. They think good about themselves, but they don't think that other people can do anything that's good for them. And the next one is the ambivalent attachment. These are very, like, emotionally reactive people. Think of it as a wall of words. Like, they're expressing everything. They're quick to talk about certain things. They're quick to let people know about themselves. They're quick to tell people about, like, what's going on. They're very generous and giving, and they focus on take care for others as well. But behind all of that is fear of abandonment, fear of separation from a partner, or fear of separation from a caregiver, or somebody that is taking care of them. And they find discomfort in being alone for too long. So you will find these people, the people that are that have an ambivalent and secure attachment, they would just cling to people. If they don't hear from their romantic partner, or if they don't hear, or if the parents not close, then they really, it's like almost like they attach themselves to the person, because they feel a lot of fear of separation from the person, a fear of the person leaving. Then they just attach themselves to the person to make sure that they are not pretty much left. They're not left, and they have a lot of emotion. And if we have kids that we notice that they're like that, we need to increase their capacity to self-soothe. So a lot of kids that are emotionally reactive, they may not have the tools that they need to be able to regulate their own emotions. So with younger kids, I think I spoke about this not too long ago. You can come up with a code word like potato or banana or pineapple, and it means I need help to regulate my emotions. But with older kids, you can teach them to breathe and to slow themselves down and to, like, in a non-judgmental way, right? Because dealing with emotions is extremely difficult. So in a non-judgmental way, just let them see you there for them as a partner, and walk them through it a few times, and allow them and remind them over and over again, so that they can be able to learn how to soothe themselves and increase their capacity to contain their emotions to current situations. Most of the time, um, people who are, who have an ambivalent attachment, most of the time they tend to overthink. They tend to go to the future in their thoughts. Oh, this person's gonna leave me, or I'm too much of a burden, or this and that. They think beyond the current situation. Sometimes it can be helpful to bring them to the current situation and help them see exactly what it is that they're reacting to, so that things that could happen don't begin to impact the current moment. And acknowledge, if you're a parent of older kids and you notice that they have this, sometimes just slowing down and acknowledging, hey, I understand that I did not do so well, or I understand that that this thing that I did when you were 5, that you bring up all the time, has impacted you, and I just want to apologize for that. That will speak directly to the part that felt abandoned, that felt like she's too much or he's too much, or that felt like she was a burden. That will speak directly to that and give that part of that person, or that part of that child, permission to just feel, okay, I'm seen, I'm heard, and I'm okay. I'm my parent, the person that is the most important to me, is acknowledging those things. And I just want to take the time and say, like, if you have gone, like, if you have developed ambivalent insecure attachment yourself, I just want to just slow down and apologize for your parents. Maybe they're not there to apologize to you. Maybe they're too proud to apologize to you. Maybe they don't know to apologize to you. But I just want to speak to that part of yourself and say that you are important and you are valuable and you are worthy of love and of care and of compassion. So, and that's exactly what you need to do for your kids, to be able to help them get back to that security. And it may take time, right? But you can allow them to get back to that sense of security. And with disorganized attachment, they are very, very unstable. They have fear of abandonment. At the same time, they're very independent. So they're like a mixture of everything at the same time. And they don't really deal with their emotions, but they look like they do. They look like they deal with their emotions, but they do experience a lot of fear and a lot of instability within themselves. They have a negative view of themselves. They don't remember the questions from the beginning. Am I worthy of love? Am I able to get the love that I need? Can I trust other people? So all of that is negative for them. They cannot trust themselves. They don't believe in their capacity or ability to be loved, and they don't believe that other people are willing and just available to help them. And what we can do for them, whatever I mentioned before, but really allow them to feel secure in you again. Allow them to be able to know that you are there. Speak again to those parts and those experiences that they've had that you may never have mentioned. If you are and if your attachment style is not secure, then it's very likely that you have just projected whatever your attachment style is to your kids. So make sure that you're taking the time to correct those. And the people that are secure, they have a positive sense of themselves and a positive sense of other people. They are very secure and confident, and they're willing to commit to relationship. They are happy to go explore. They feel very safe in relationships. They are able to give, like, with adults. They are able to give their romantic partners space to be able to do individual things. They're not very clingy, right? As kids, they're not very clingy. They're able to explore their environments, but they trust that they can always come back to you. And when you think of an anchor, right, a boat is on water, which is very unstable and can move at any time. But at the same time, the anchor keeps the boat very steady, and it keeps it exactly where it needs to be. So they're not very easily moved. Then they don't react like emotionally, overly react emotionally with everything. Certain things could happen that you could react, and I'm not saying that you can't react, but they're very like stable and have a positive sense about themselves and about other people. And people that are kids that are securely attached, all you can do as a parent is just to maintain the trust. And when something happens, address it right away, right? Don't ignore things. If you make a mistake, own up to it. Hey, I said this to you earlier. I'm so sorry for saying that. Even though what you did was wrong, I shouldn't have said it to you in this way. There was a better way that I could have said this. And yeah, and you just do it that way and you apologize, which means you are repairing the things as they happen, which means that you are maintaining that sense of security and safety that your kids have in you. So kids who are insecure, they avoid people, they show anger, fear, and anxiety, they exaggerate distress, and tantrums are, they're fine, they're to be expected, but at the same time you will know when it's extra. You know your kids, like not no one not one no one kid is the same, so you know your kid and you can be able to identify when the distress is being exaggerated and they refuse to engage with other people. And these are pretty much signs of insecure attachment. And I cannot stress this enough. A child you can show as much love as you can to your kid, but they can still not feel love, which is why it's extremely important that we check in with them and ask them the question, um, what is it that when I do it, it makes you feel loved? Because you can never know. You could be showing the love and you're speaking your own language and it's not registering for the kid. So check in with them and ask them what it is that you can do to make them feel that you love them, and go from their answers. And when kids tell you something, when you specifically ask for something, make sure that you follow through with that and that you actually do those things, because they're going to feel like they just wasted some time just giving you valuable information about themselves. Just feeling loved and being heard are very similar. Is difficult to distinguish between the two, and that's from Fern Scott. They need to be heard. A lot of like older parents, they go, what you're saying doesn't matter, or I don't want to hear you right now. You did this wrong and you should know better. Takes time and listen to the kid. Maybe they had a reason. Maybe they they thought this was what was going to happen and they didn't know what was going to happen. Maybe they did it on purpose. Listen to the reason. Speak to them and allow them the freedom to speak to you so that they can be able to feel love from you. And these are pretty much signs of attachment disorder. You can take a screenshot of this if you notice those more extreme symptoms in your kids. Definitely make sure that they see a mental health professional. Okay. Attachment based parenting is, I think, something that is very similar to positive parenting, but something that is great for us to develop, right? Because we can choose to repeat the patterns that our parents did or our grandparents did, or we can choose something better and something different for our kids, because what we do as parents will determine how the next generation what the next generation is, what choices they make, what they become. And we have a very, very important job as parents to make sure that our kids grow up in an environment where they feel safe, so that they don't have to spend 5 years in therapy to be able to fix the things that happened to them in childhood, but that they have the support and the love within themselves, and from other people, to be able to become secure adults. So the first thing I would say with attachment based parenting, and this is from a book by Tim Clinton. I will include it in the resources if you want to take a picture of that later. I included in the resources. I know we're out of time, but I'm just gonna run a little bit extra so I could run through the material, and then I'll get through the questions for about 10 minutes. So the you have to have vision. You have to have vision for your kids. You have to have vision for how you want to parent. Because if you're just winging it, or you just doing it however you want, or you letting it come to you as it happens, then you're just going to end up just hurting your kids and reacting to them. So it's extremely important that you have a vision for the type of, not only the type of parent that you want to be, but a vision for who you want your kids to become and what it's going to take for you to get them there. Because your role as a parent is to develop your kids. And of course, there are things that are in them. There are some things that are genetic. There are some things that you don't have control over. But if you have a vision, you can direct them towards that, and you can allow them to be able to just get to that place or the point where they can feel more secure in the world that they're in, and develop into healthier adults. Emotional learning and I'm going to say this with, especially with younger kids, is absolutely important. And teenagers also, like, when the hormones kick in, it's extremely important for them to just regulate themselves. I think every teenager should be seeing a therapist because of the challenges of that stage. But emotional learning, if we teach them when they're younger how to manage and how to deal with their emotions, how to not stuff their emotions down, how to just make space for them and feel, and we don't make them feel shame about the way that they feel, then it will be easier for them as they go through life to not only express how they feel to other people and recognize how they feel for themselves, but also be able to feel that it's acceptable for them to have those feelings in the first place, right? In a lot of cultures, emotions are seen, and especially for men, emotions are seen as something that's very bad. You don't treat your boys in this way. Like, that's like a Caribbean thing. Don't treat your boys in this way. You need to teach them to be men. And basically, being men is to be pretty much emotionless and to just take everything in and stuff it in and just keep it and be strong. But that's not how we want to raise our boys. We need to raise our boys to be able to express and feel their feelings, because by the time they're adults, they're carrying a burden that they have no idea what to do with. And because of everything that's happening and the way that people are seeing mental health right now, and that's changing, but still, men are less likely to seek therapy, and which means that they're going to stay in this pattern. So I want to advise you to not treat your boys in the way that maybe your parents treated you, or the way that the older generation used to do things. Boys need to also feel secure. They need to feel their emotions, and they need to have permission to do that from you, because everybody else might be telling them, nope, don't feel that, don't feel this, don't feel that. Okay, so training them to love and to be loved, and parenting that is based on love is what we're going for, right? Because if you're doing something to your child, and you pause and you think, am I loving my child in this moment? And love, like going through, like having punishing your children, or taking away something, or doing something that will make them learn from their mistakes and learn, like, change their behavior, is a type of loving them, because that teaches them what to do overall, right? Kids need to be guided and to know what's good and what's bad. So I'm not saying not to discipline them. It's absolutely important that we do, but I think the way that we discipline them is extremely important, because is your discipline based on how you feeling? Oh, they did this, it made you angry, then you're hitting them. Or they did this and you yelling at them. Is it based on love? And how is it that you can regulate yourself as a parent so that you can be able to love on your kids even when they do things um that are not good? And they will do a lot of things that are not good. So how can you as a parent lead or parent out of love and teach your kids also to do the same? Because kids are imitators. As they see you do it, as they see you do it to them, to yourself, to other people, then they will learn to do it for themselves as well. And parenting with sensitivity, and that's extremely important. And you have to know your child. You have to know, um if you say certain things to them, that is just going to crush them, and you shouldn't say things like that to them. Or if you do certain things, or you go back on your word, for example, certain, like, my Joshi which is my little boy, is extremely sensitive to words, and I have to really be mindful of the things that I say, because they will hurt him very deeply. So we have to be sensitive towards our kids, just like we wouldn't want anybody to say certain things to us. We also want to make sure that we are not saying certain things to our kids, because our words will determine how they feel about themselves and how they feel about the world. So be sure to just basically be sure to parent with vision, help them with their emotions, and allow them to learn what their emotions are and how to deal with them. If you can't do it, refer them to a professional. Train them to love and to be loved, and sensitivity, parent with sensitivity. And that's all I have for today. I did want to tell you guys about this parenting 6-week parenting group. So if this was helpful for you, if you want to know more, if you want to discuss more, if you want to talk about discipline and ways to discipline your kids, communication, how to deal with conflict. If you want to go deeper and feel like this is for you, I want to invite you to go on the page that you're on right now, on my page, and either now or later, just scroll down. If you want to learn more, there's a learn more button, and then there's a sign up button. So after you read it, if you think this is right for you, I want you to sign up, and I want you to get ready to do some real work with me to transform your parenting. This was a 1 hour thing. There was no way I would be able to fit in all of that into 1 hour. But I know that over the 6 weeks from February 27th to March 31st, will be able to together. It's a parenting group, so there'll be different parents. We'll have a 30-minute where I do a little bit of teaching, so I can make sure that you're getting enough content. And then we'll have an hour of discussion where we go over the material, and we'll also be able to learn from other parents and learn from other people's experiences. So if you're looking to connect with other parents, if you're looking to have that support system and transform the way that you parent your kids, and really learn how to parent from an attachment based principle, then I would say definitely consider signing up for this. And if you the people who are part of this webinar, if you sign up for this course, you get a discount. So when you do sign up, there is a parenting webinar thing. Just click that, and it's cheaper than everything else. So you get a great discount for that, and I think you get one of the weeks free. So definitely sign up for that. And right now, these are the resources. I can share that with you later. And now I'm going to pretty much take a few questions, and just give me 1 second. Gonna take a few questions from you guys. Alrighty. Let's see. All right. I am not seeing. I'm not seeing any of your questions actually. I think there is an error. Okay. Okay. I'm not seeing I'm not able to access your questions. I don't know if you guys are on YouTube or where you are, but I can take a look at that just in case. All right. So I'm not able to see any questions. If you have any, feel free to email me, feel free to message me, whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can pretty much post them or send them to me directly. But that is all for today. I am so glad that you guys were able to join me for this free webinar. And I will speak to you guys later. I'll just expect an email from me about just further information, and I will speak to you guys a little bit later. All right. Bye, everybody. Take care.